All right, guys. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to do the screencast. You guys don't care much, but the extension to do it was not working for me. All I could do was edit. I couldn't create new. So I'm going to go through this fast since you have the ability to pause. So last week, this is where we were. Again, I'm going to scroll fast because you have the ability to pause. So we said inherited means comes from the parents, offspring or children. That word comes up a lot. A trait is a characteristic, also known as a phenotype, which will come up later. Traits come from parents. They also come from lifestyle or environment. We care about the parent ones. That's what genetics is all about. We came down here, we said we have 46 chromosomes, which is 23 pairs. 23 come from mom and 23 come from dad. And this is where we kind of stopped last week. So you can do this thing called a karyotype, where you can look at your chromosomes. You can look at a picture of your chromosomes, and it would look really similar to this picture right here. So I have two copies of one from mom, one from dad. I have two copies of chromosome 2, one from mom, one from dad. I have two copies of chromosome 10, one from mom and one from dad. And then this is a unique set of chromosomes. So C17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 is unique. It says XY, and that's because the 23rd pair of chromosomes determines your gender. So you are either going to be XY if you're a male, and XX if you're a female. Now, this is more complicated than this. We may have time to talk about it, we might not. But when you have a child, you don't pass on both of your ones to your children and both of your twos and both of your threes, because then your children would double the number of chromosomes they have. Then the next generation, the offspring, would have 92. So instead, you pass on one of your ones, one of your twos, one of your threes, one of your fours. And it combines with the other person. The sperm fertilizes the egg, and then the other person provides the other one, and the other two, and the other three, and the other four, and that's how we get back to 46 or 23 pairs. Okay, so down here, when you have children, you're going to pass on one of your 23rd pair, either this one or this one. So if you're a female, you're going to pass on either an X or an X. And if you're a male, you're going to pass on either an X or a Y. So no matter what, the female passes on an X. If the male passes on the X, he has a daughter. If the male passes on the Y, he'll have a son. So the 23rd pair of chromosomes determines your gender, and it's the dad that's going to determine if he has a son or a daughter, because it's the dad who has the ability to pass on the Y chromosome and have a son, or an X to have a daughter. So now we're going to do some predictions here. This says, I'm going to just paraphrase all this because I know what it says. It says there's these two animals. They're just called critters. It's just easier. We'll just call them critters. So we have a blue-tailed critter. This is the male. And the female critter is orange-tailed. So dad is blue-tailed. Mom is orange-tailed. So this says in the reading that cells get all the directions that they need from those chromosomes from the last page. So all those chromosomes contain your DNA. And it's the DNA that gives all your cells their directions. The directions to become a skin cell, or the directions to become a heart cell, or the directions to become a red blood cell. So we have Sky is a male, blue-tailed. Poppy is a female, orange-tailed. We're going to cross them, and we're going to make 100 offspring. 100. So Sky is the male, blue tail. The place where he comes from, everybody is blue-tailed. The boys and the girls, everybody is blue-tailed where Sky comes from. Poppy's tail, I think I wrote this wrong, so I'm going to retype it. Poppy's tail is, orange. Now we predict if Sky and Poppy have 100 offspring, how many do you think will be blue-tailed? And how many do you think would be orange? And how many do you think would be like a blend? I'll tell you, we're not doing any of the blending right here. So I would pause the video and just predict. Dad's blue-tailed, mom is orange-tailed. They have 100 offspring. How many are going to be blue? How many will be orange? So pause, do a prediction. It doesn't matter if you're right. It doesn't matter if you're wrong. Just do a prediction. So now hopefully you've done that. We come back down here, and here's what we find out. They had 100 offspring, and all 100 are blue-tailed. All 100 are blue. Every one of them. That's what it says right here. All 100 are blue-tailed. So how many are blue? All 100. How many are orange? 0. Explain, why are they all blue-tailed? Again, so now you want to pause and write an explanation. I'll tell you some of the things that people have said in my other classes, and it's right here. These are just ideas. Maybe blue is a dominant trait, and orange is what's called a recessive trait. Maybe it's because they're on Sky's island. Maybe they're all males. So maybe all males have blue tails, and all females have orange tails, and all the babies were males. These are just what my period 5 said last week. All right, now we continue on. And we say we're going to code. So this was generation 1. Ooh, that's not what I want. The pen I want. This is generation 1, Sky and Poppy. These are generation 2, all these babies. And now we're saying, what if we have, now this is weird, but what if we have a third generation? And we have 100 more babies. So here, mom and dad were blue and orange. Now mom and dad are both blue-tailed. Now what do you predict if we have a third generation? How many would be blue and orange? These are some predictions I had from my class. So you would pause this now and you'd write your own prediction. I have another generation now, third generation. Mom and dad this time are both blue. What's going to be my results of the third generation? And we get our results. And the results are third generation, 75 are blue, 25 are orange. Mom and dad were both blue, remember. So the orange tail trait came back. We thought it disappeared, but it's back. So was the blue trait lost in generation 2? No. And so now number 11, how would you explain all of the orange tails disappearing in generation 2, but coming back in generation 3? And that's for you to do. And you would just do your own, try to come up with an explanation here. I'm not just going to give you what my other classes said this time. Try to explain how the blue disappeared in 2 and came back in 3. All right, we're going to go down here. We're going to do some explanation now. Again, you have the ability to pause if we're going too fast, so it shouldn't be a problem for you. So the answer is that we have something called dominance. And in this scenario, the blue tail is dominant over the orange tail. So blue tail is dominant. Dominant is blue tail. Maybe I should do that in blue. Dominant is blue tail. And recessive is orange tail. Recessive. And when we write these are called alleles. So either a big letter, we're going to do a lot of these. So a big letter represents the dominant trait, and a small letter represents the recessive trait. So these are the 2 different alleles for tail color. These are the 2 different alleles. That word's going to come up a lot, alleles. So, for instance, if a critter got this allele from mom on one chromosome, and this allele from, did I say it wrong? Oh, this allele from dad on one chromosome, and this allele from mom on the other chromosome, what color tail would they have? We see up here, a big T is blue, and we have two big T's. So I would predict confidently that that would be a blue tail. So here's the three different ways to write your T's. I can either have a big T with a big T, a big T with a little t, or a little t, little t. You can probably see through here what the result is. We already did this. If I get two big T's, one from mom, one from dad, I'm going to have a blue tail. If I get two of the little t's, one from mom, one from dad, I'm going to have an orange tail. It's pretty easy for a lot of students. This is the one that gets a little trickier. What if I get one of both? I get the one capital allele, one dominant allele, and one recessive allele. Then what color tail I have? And the answer is that the dominant allele masks the expression of the recessive allele. So it's like it doesn't even exist. So you end up with a blue tail. But the important thing here is that I have a blue tail, but I still have the allele for a recessive tail. So I'm a carrier of that allele. It's just like when you get coronavirus, some people are carriers. They have the virus in their body, but they have no symptoms. This person has the allele for orange tail, but they don't have an orange tail. So why does that matter? Because this is a blue-tailed critter that has the ability to pass on the orange tail allele to their baby. For example, these are called Punnett squares. So this is just probabilities. So now this is saying, what if I have mom, let's say is big T, little t, genotype that's called. And that's gonna happen. We're gonna go through that down here. So a genotype is the combination of alleles I have. So big T, little t equals the genotype. And if I have big T, little t, what color tail will I have? Behind the computer, you're saying blue. Blue is the phenotype. So phenotype is what I see. So genotype is the combination of alleles. The phenotype is the actual trait. So we're going to figure out some probabilities. If mom has big T, little t genotype, and dad has big T, little t genotype, that means mom is blue and dad is blue. It doesn't matter if I put mom on top or on the side. It doesn't matter if dad's on the side or on top. What we're going to do is we're going to figure out some probabilities. So if mom and dad are both blue tail here, this is important. This is back to that second generation that we did in the little reading exercise. So mom and dad are both blue tailed. Let's figure out some probabilities. These T's come down. This T comes down. This T comes over. Okay, so this would come down to here, and it would come down to here, down to here, and down to here. I'm gonna go over. This gives me some probabilities. So this basically says if this blue-tailed parent and this blue-tailed parent have 4 kids, this one would probably end up blue-tailed. No, not probably. This one would be blue. This would be blue. This would be blue. This would be orange. So this is blue, 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 and orange. So if they had, so down here, this is just probabilities. I'll talk about that, what it means in a second. What's the probability of having an orange-tailed offspring? What's 1 in 4, or 25%? Probability of having blue-tailed offspring, 3 in 4, or 75%. This is where it gets tricky for people. Could all of their offspring, if they have 100 offspring, could they all be blue-tailed? Yes, they could. Is it likely? No. What if they have 100 offspring? Could they all be orange-tailed? Again, yes. Is it likely? Not at all. If they have 100 offspring, how many would probably be orange-tailed? It will be 1 in 4, so that means 25. Here's some. Yeah, just actually, I'm just going to give you these two. The next assignment, I'm going to give the rest. So again, genotype is the allele combination. Phenotype is what you actually see. You can pause it if you need to, because I'm going to continue on. Now this says to do one more Punnett square. Mom is blue-tailed, capital T, capital T. Dad is capital T, small t. And the question is, can these guys have, is it possible for them to have an orange-tailed critter? So I do my Punnett square, bring this one down, this one down, over, and my results would be, this one would be blue, 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 blue. Can they have an orange-tailed offspring? No. Is the trait lost? No, because there's a 50% chance that their children still have the allele for orange tail. They don't express it. They don't show it. All right, there you go. I'm going to try to post the next video for the next assignment tomorrow since we kind of lost the day here. But there, you should be all caught up. Did I get this caught up? Is that the last page?